Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Dave.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. We are at episode 56. It feels like #mathing. We did episode 50 like just 6 weeks ago.
For real.
Which is crazy. Time goes by so fast.
Yeah,
and
really
here we are at episode 56. And a lot of news to talk about. A lot of little fun things. We have a little rant to go on, which you know us on our rants. And so we'll definitely get a little heated on that, which will be fun. Got a great guest coming up in just a minute. But Jen, I got to ask you, top of the show, how did you Disney this week?
Oh, well, I've Disneyed in a few ways this week. So I think the first way I will talk about that I Disneyed, because we'll talk about the other one down the road, is I prepped for the Ohana release, which I'm sure we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we are going to talk about that. Okay, awesome.
We are going to talk about that. I spent all day yesterday prepping with my clients about what reservations I'm getting. That might be a cop-out answer, but that's what I did.
Fun time. Still, I mean, I love talking to, I have to type a lot of it up, and some of it I have just copied and pasted from previous emails and stuff about dining, but I do love talking about dining, especially now because you're and guess what? Your trip is a week after Ohana opens up, and you're going to be able to get Ohana if we want, if we can get it, because it's going to be very popular.
It's going to be, I'm already how many browsers can I have open?
It's funny because I posted it online, and a lot of my wife and I work in different parts of the house. I work upstairs in the office. She works downstairs at a desk, because she's still working from home, at least for the summer, till her office calls her back, and which they may never call her back. She's one of those that she can do her job.
She can do her job from home, so yeah.
And so I posted on my Disney page, Disney on $1 on Facebook, that Ohana was reopening, and 3 minutes later, OMG, a text, OMG, Ohana's coming back. And I'm like, I hope you saw that on my page and not on just some random websites.
Stephanie's like, no, I don't follow your page.
Yeah, she really saw it on some random website. She was like, I saw it on allegiance.com. I'm like, thanks, honey. Also, it's on my page too. I was coming back. So I Disney this week. So I have this goal of reading 50 books a year, and I've had this goal for about 5 years, and I've never been able to reach it. And it's just one of those things. I think 2 years ago I got to 47. Last year I got to 45, and I just can't get there. Well, this year I've been trucking along, and I just finished this week books 23 and 24, and we're not at the halfway point of the year, so I'm going there.
Good job.
Book number 23 was a book called Meet the Disney Brothers, a unique biography about Walt Disney. It's a shorter book, so it counts, but it's still a shorter book. It's like when you watch a movie that's only Dumbo is only 61 minutes long.
Oh yeah, it's barely over an hour.
Movie. It's not just a short story or a little pamphlet or whatever.
Right.
Great little backstory about the Disney Brothers, Walt and Roy Disney, and I love Disney history, as you know, and
yes,
and it's kind of fun to kind of read through. I've heard their story 1,000 times, but I love hearing your story again and again because it is such a cool story. I am a big believer in every relationship needs a Roy and a Walt. Every relationship has a Roy and a Walt. If you have two Walts, lots of ideas, but you're living homeless on the street. If you have a Roy, you guys have lots of money, but you're not doing anything fun and you're boring people. So you need both. And I also read a book called Buying Disney's World, the story of how Florida Swampland became Disney World. Another fascinating story, which we'll get into in a few minutes, about how
a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, we did. We talked about that, especially you talked about it on your other podcast, the Divas This podcast, which I'm not afraid to mention on this podcast at all, to promote you and your podcast. Anyway, because the book is great, and it's really the backstory of Walt coming to Orlando and getting the permits and it's not just he bought some land and built a park. There's so much behind it. And I told you, I was like, we need to get the author of these books on the show.
That's right.
Thinking, well, maybe, I don't know, whatever. And I convinced you. We talked about it a few minutes. And Aaron H. Goldberg is the guy who wrote these books. And guess what, Jen? He's on our show. Let's welcome Aaron H. Goldberg
How
to the
amazing.
show. Hey, Aaron.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
Very proud to have you on. You were the author, of course, of several Disney books. The Disney Story, chronicling the Man, the Mouse, and the Parks. Disney Declassified, Tales of Real-Life Disney Scandals. Sex, accidents, and death. I mean, you've got to watch that explicit tag on our podcast for a family show. We don't want Marcy getting mad for Rory hearing the bad words. And I've read most of these. The Disney Story is the one I have not read. I've read Disney Declassified, and of course, I've read the other two. And real excited to talk to you, Aaron, about all your books and everything, and kind of what you've got coming up, because I know you got some great future plans.
Yeah.
But we got to ask you, how did you Disney this week?
How did I Disney this week? I actually had a frustrating Disney week because I
Oh
was
no.
trying to get a theme park reservation for October 1st at the Magic Kingdom.
Oh
Oh, wow.
So
no.
numerous times on numerous devices, and I mean, I have Epcot, but I really want
Right,
Magic Kingdom
right.
for October
Magic.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I Disneyed this week. And
Well-
the Disneying week will keep on going until I get
Yes,
it.
it will.
Well, are you aware that they opened up October 1st
They
yesterday?
did.
Yes. And
Okay, good.
it was such a debacle with the app. I was in the app and then I got logged out and it took me
Oh.
to the browser and I was just like, by
Yeah.
the time I actually got in, it was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Eric.
Well, I feel like they're going to open it up again because
I do
like
think.
July they've opened up like 3 or 4 times, and I would
Mhm.
imagine they'll do that again as they continue to release more and more for capacity.
Right.
As Chapek snuck that in, he was like, "Yeah, it's been releasing capacity." Blah 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 blah. Wait, what? You're burying the lead. What'd you say?
Yep.
So yeah, I have a feeling it's going to come again, which would be awesome. Disney Tech is interesting. We will talk about that a little bit later on because Disney Tech is something I think all of us are passionate about right about now, especially.
Oh, a lot of passion.
That's going to help us lead into some Disney news. This is where we play a little news jingle, and Jennifer goes, "Yeah, news." And so, all right, so let's do the happy stuff first. First is another big step, several big steps into Disney
Yes.
reopening, and every time we hear new opening stuff, we're excited about it. And Aaron, you can just chime in whenever. Don't be afraid because Jen cuts me off
Alrighty.
all the time. The Dumbo Playground at Dumbo's Flying Elephants is open again. The playground in the middle where you go in, the kids can play, and if you've never seen it, folks, it's a wonderful little playground, and adults can get in the too. I have crawled all through there. It reminds you of how how good your knees are.
Or how
There's
not
a meme
good.
that's out there now that has a guy that says something like, "I'm in my prime," and under it says, your knees, the crap you are. That's kind of what that reminds me of. A lot of tight spaces, but it's great. It's built for families, and it's a great place to climb around and have fun. It's a little playground you can sit out of the heat until you're called to go on Dumbo. That is now reopened. Also, the space base playground digital play area over at Mission Space is open. As you're coming off Mission Space, there's that whole thing is now open, and I think other playgrounds are starting to open too, which is awesome. We also know that the cast members are setting up the stuff for the trams to return to service. Now, no official date on that, but we think the trams are coming back very soon because the poles are starting to go up, the signage is about to go back up, and so it's great seeing all of that. Epcot Food and Wine Festival has released that there will be no traditional Eat to the Beat, like we don't get 97-year-old Mickey Thomas and Starship coming back, and we don't get 104-year-old Herman's well, just Herman's Hermit coming back, and some Nick DeYoung from Styx, which really I guess he should build himself a stick. He's not coming back for right now, but that was one of my favorite jokes, by the way. I made that joke and nobody ever laughed when I originally made it. I thought that was clever. Anyway,
That was a pity laugh.
but we are getting, like the Flower and Garden show, we are getting local bands. Local bands coming back. Like the Jameters or whatever, they're going to be performing a couple of sets. We have some orchestras coming there, so some local areas from all across Central and Northern Florida are coming in to play during Food and Wine Festival. And it's not the taste of the Food and Wine Festival; it is the International Epcot Food and Wine Festival, and I'm really excited about that.
Yes, I am very happy about that as well, and I'm excited because it is going on for a long time. So
It really is.
July 15th
It's-
through November 20th.
Something like
think-
that. Like because
I think-
the Flower and Garden ends like on July. I feel like it ends on July 15th at 1 p.m. and at 1:07 p.m. the Food and Wine
It's like
Festival
Food and
ends.
Wine.
People just like there are gonna be people from Morocco just changing signs.
Right.
Basically, that prices
goes
are changing and that's it.
Booze and bloom to food and wine.
Exactly. They're wheeling the topiaries out and they're bringing in more food carts and stuff. And more food carts are coming, which from what I understand. So
Yeah.
it is going to be fantastic.
It will
and
be.
I'm real excited. It's just, and Aaron, are you a frequent visitor of either the Food and Wine or the Flower and Garden?
I am of both. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, and also, I don't know how many, like, I don't know your park frequency. Do you go to the parks a lot? Do you live in the area? Is it like 1 or 2 times a year? How does the park visits work?
I split my time between Orlando and outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I'm in
Nice.
the parks all the time. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. That's something I would like to get to eventually. I'm only in the parks, 3 to 4 times a year, which is, I mean, I feel like a commoner. I feel like a poor person that I
It's like a
can't get to
tease.
parks. It really is. It
So
really, really
David,
is.
since he's also in Pennsylvania part of the time, does that mean he's also Amish?
Probably not. Are you Amish, Aaron?
I am not Amish.
Okay, see, he
No.
says he's not Amish. So
I mean, I could probably pass for one. I could get,
Right.
put on a little wig and give up electricity. But
Well,
yeah.
I mean, have you ever raised the barn? Have you ever churned butter?
I consumed a lot of butter,
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Me too. That's why I wanted that.
and I've seen a few barns. I don't think I've ever raised one though.
See, well, I mean, Jen has, and so that makes her Amish. She lives in Amish country, and so I mean, she alienates our Amish listeners every time we get on the show. It's ridiculous. Not that they have electricity,
Obviously.
but
I was gonna say.
I mean,
That's pretty funny.
okay, so truthfully, I don't know Amish customs well enough to know that if I'm being offensive or not. I have no idea. I don't know if Jen's gonna get canceled anytime soon.
Everything he knows
I really
about
don't
it
know.
comes from Weird Al Yankovic. So
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good reliable source.
I have a movie podcast, and when we bring Jen on, because she'll come on from time to time and talk about movies and stuff, her theme song is Amish Paradise.
It's Amish Paradise.
We'll play that little
That's
2 hours
awesome.
of Amish Paradise. It's great.
They're listen. They know their way around a bakery because anytime
True
I go to
story.
Lancaster, I mean Lancaster, there's always like throughout like Pennsylvania and the southern New Jersey. There's always like rogue random Amish markets, and their baked goods are always really delicious.
The donuts
Yes.
too.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's
good.
It's pure butter. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
they party like it's $16.99. Thanks, Weird Al Yankovic. All right, so moving on. Restaurant reopenings, and this is exciting too because we got a bunch of these. And let me go to the Disneyland first because it's not just Disney World, it's Disneyland. Disneyland Resort announced reopening dates for a lot of its restaurants, including Alien Pizza Planet, Docking Bay Food and Cargo, Olga's Cantina, Rancho del Zacolio Restaurante, Tiki Juice Bar. They're all opening or a lot of them are opening starting June 14th.
yeah.
California Venture has some. Lamplight Lounge in Wine Country Tutoria is opening on July 17th. Reservations will open on June 14th. Currently, the parks are capped at around 35% capacity. Indoor attractions capped at 25%. There are restrictions with dining, so it may not be easy to get some of these things, but they are reopening. So contact your local travel agent. Pick me, pick Jen, pick us. Contact your travel agent about your Disneyland trip, and it's a 60-day dining window, I believe. Right now, you could obviously get booking as soon as it opens because we're within 60 days. But that's opening up, which is really exciting. And of course, we learned that Ohana at Disney World is finally opening back up on July 9th. Reservations are accepted starting
Tomorrow, June 10th.
Is it tomorrow?
It
June
is
10th,
tomorrow,
right,
June 10th.
So when you're listening to this, people, if you don't have your Ohana reservation for the next 60 days, you should have contacted us. You should have called us already. Ohana's okay, so it's over at the Polynesian. No characters. Traditionally, it's a character breakfast. They have breakfast and dinner. Love Ohana. It's one of the most unique restaurant servings of all. It's really cool. And for the price you get, and of course, it is going to be full price.
It's good food.
No dining plan. Great food. They come around to your table. It's gonna be family style. It's always been family style for dinner, but it'll be family style continually. They basically come around to your table with these large skewers of meat. And
not at breakfast.
You just
dinner.
Not at dinner. Well, breakfast would be cool too. Big skewers of bacon. But for dinner, they come around and they have like skewers of shrimp, and basically you just kind of tell them how many they put them on your plate, and pork and lamb and steak and chicken, whatever, and they have the noodles in the front, and I think they're the ones that has banana. Is it banana bread or banana
it's bread pudding. Yeah,
bread pudding. That's what it is. Bread pudding for dessert, and it really is all you can eat. So if you're a family of 6 is at a table and consume that, grab another, or they'll bring you 2, and it's cool. You got the little guy with the ukulele playing, and they get the lays, and he kind of puts the lays on everybody, and the kids kind of do some stuff. And
now I did hear that the noodles may not be there upon return. Ooh. I read it. Now I don't know if that's a true article or what, but I did read an article.
Is that a CDC restriction? No noodles somewhere?
I mean, I feel like if that's the case, then somebody needs to cancel.
Guidelines?
Listen, somebody needs to cancel the CDC if they're getting rid of the Ohana noodles. I'm just saying, like that's just like unacceptable.
Fauci's all like, we've learned that noodles may be actually part of the contraction process of COVID. We can't have noodles in restaurants. I don't know, and so
I don't know. I feel like that's worth the risk for the noodles. Maybe I'm wrong.
I would take that risk. I really would take that risk.
And aren't we all cousins there? So shouldn't this be like family noodles? Like, come on,
Yeah,
thank you.
Family
noodles. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, it's Olive Garden when you're there, you're family. And now they get specific at Ohana. When you're there, you're cousins. You're not just family. You're specifically
cousins. Yeah.
Cousins.
Exactly. So it works really well. Also opening, and I've never been to Sebastian's Bistro, but it is opening.
Oh, it is good.
In June 24th. I don't know. My reservation's open for that now. I have no idea.
You know what? I don't know that I read when reservations open. I did read walk-up experience. So maybe I misread that, but I feel like it's like walk-up, and I have eaten there, and I thought it was quite good. I really did.
Good deal. Well, it's over Caribbean Beach, and I might try to eat there in October whenever I go to the 50th. That's where I'm staying. It's Caribbean Beach at a pirate room, which should be fun.
Is that what you settled on?
That's what I settled on. I mean, I couldn't get anything else. I was like, arg, matey. Pirate rooms for me only. So, Yeah. And I do want to mention one thing, and I got an email from a client, and this is not to make fun of this client because we definitely understand, because I have been there before, that I have been to a point in my life early on when I didn't know anything about Disney. I didn't know about dining reservations. I didn't know when things were happening. So I do not besmirch anybody that asks a question that I look at and go, really? Seriously, that question? But I want to address this because I want to make sure all listeners understand this. The chances of free dining coming back this year are so infinitesimally small. I can't even, it's so tiny. It's basically the chance that Disney will come out today and say, guess what? Everything is open, 100% capacity, all fast passes for everything. It's not going to happen this year. It might happen in the future, but it's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to be this year.
Now, I say that Disney could surprise everybody and come out tomorrow with a new dining plan and say, guess what? We're going to do free dining starting October. That could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So please do not
but October,
plan your vacation.
Let's try to be at least somewhat realistic. It wouldn't be.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's actually more of a chance of free dining coming back than it is for coming back for October.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do want to make sure that we understand that that's it's just not. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't, and I don't want.
Think we see that for years.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've often thought that Disney was kind of trying to get rid of free dining, the promotion itself, and what a better way to do it than to just not bring it back after a year off. Do something do something special with it where you get a free dining whatever with deluxe meals and you have whatever. I don't know, they've done something like that before.
But I mean, let's think whenever free dining came out in the first place, as I recall, it was like during the recession and it
was not right after 9/11. It came out a couple years after that.
Yeah. And as a result, that was a way to entice. I hate to say entice, but really, that was a fantastic
it's enticing
deal.
Yeah.
It was very enticing, and it helped make it possible for people to travel. Right now, the demand is such. It's I mean,
I don't think we see that for years because there's no need.
There's no need.
Disney's a company, and they don't offer promotions on places that they don't need places. I mean, that's why they don't do free promos and stuff during holidays because they don't need it because the holidays fill up. I mean, it's fine. And honestly, like they couldn't give rooms away after the recession or after 9/11 because their report came out said Disney World was a target right after it happened.
I remember that
misinformation, and it was insane. I know Eisner went nuts over that, just the whole thing. And Aaron Mack probably knows more about that than I do because
I think at one point I remember doing buy 4 get 3 free or buy 3 get 4 something like that. Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, it was insane. But with the patterns of people, and I fall prey to this too sometimes, especially when it's not Disney, because I'm so used to Disney now that I kind of read between the lines. But I fall prey to this too with other things going, well, they've had it so long now. Why wouldn't they have it again this year? Why shouldn't they? We expect it. And the whole thinking was Disney can't just drop it because people will lose their minds. However, a year off, they just don't have to bring it back. They don't. I mean, they really don't. And I don't know that they will. Dining plans probably will come back in some form or fashion. We don't know when because that is kind of a moneymaker, especially for the prices they were charging Disney. But I don't know when that's going to happen. So as with free dining or any other promotion, folks, do not plan your vacation around a promotion with the thought that you might save money. Always assume that whatever we book you as, you're going to pay that. A lot of times, if you go in early August, there's a great chance we're going to be able to say, you're at Saratoga Springs or something. There's a great chance we're going to be able to get your room and save you some money. But don't ever assume, I booked for Halloween Day and a trip after that or during Columbus Day. And my traveling is going to save you a bunch of money because the promotion will come out. We're going to try. Last few things here. The Skyliner had another collision yesterday. It was something small. Basically one came in a little bit hot, and those things come in hot when they
come in hot sometimes.
They come in fast, and I guess it's that downward slope. And I don't know if the braking system is just set up in a certain way. They come in quickly. But we had two that collided. Apparently, there were people stuck on the line for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. There was a TikToker that was TikToking and putting out videos from the Skyliner. And she was like, I'm about to have a panic attack. I hope Disney gets me out of here soon. And she wasn't mean about it. She was like, I'm hoping to get out of here soon. They apparently gave her a gift card and a free ticket to Epcot. So that worked for her. And I don't know if they did that for everybody or just for her because they were like, she's on TikTok. Give her something. Yeah. So she got on TikTok. She was like, Disney's the Caribbean. It was so great and whatever. Okay, so question for the group here. At what point does Disney start making changes to the Skyliner? Because this is at least 3 incidents we've had in like 2 years. Yeah. I mean, the first was a major one a week after it opened. Then we had another small one.
It was pretty minor.
Yeah. Is this just kind of a bus accidents happen from time to time so they just keep going forward? Or is this something that we're going to look at concerningly and be like, we might have a problem here? I mean, what do you think?
That's a good question. I think they're usually very proactive about things like this. but I don't know. I mean, I feel like this system is around the world, like very heavily throughout Europe. And I
Hmm.
think obviously before they even would commit to something, they want to know the background, the safety, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So I don't know. I feel like you don't know if is it user error. It's like, you know what I mean.
Right.
Like there was something that happened in Italy not too long ago, tragically, that family died, and it was basically user error. They did
Hmm.
something to the brakes and it crashed. So
Right.
who knows? I mean, I feel like if Disney is willing to put it on their grounds, they feel pretty good about, you
Yeah.
know, their liability with everything.
And if you
Yeah,
look at the statistics, like how many trips
Yeah,
has each
I was just
gondola
thinking that.
made
exactly.
around? Like statistically, that's
Taking,
extremely
I mean,
Yeah.
I say
small.
tens of thousands. If they came out with the statistic that said, we do an average of 100,000 people a day, it would not shock me at all to hear
Oh,
that.
not at all.
Right.
And and so to have 3 incidents in 2 years with millions of people going on those,
Statistically, is
those
very
are pretty good
small.
odds. Yeah. Now this happened on the Epcot line, and they had already announced that the Epcot line of Disney
Yeah.
Skyliner will close January 23rd to 28th for a quick refurbishment. And so that's coming up already. So it may be something where
Yeah.
they're like, hey, we're gonna make sure this is all working. But I
Or
agree
maybe
with
they'll
Aaron. I mean,
respace
yeah,
things or
exactly.
something.
Yeah, and I would
Yeah.
imagine that after a couple of years of something that with such heavy use, they probably are going to start, closing one section at a time over the course of a
Right.
year or so, and do refurbs to this, that, and the other, and making it
It,
work.
it's one of those things. It's Disney, so it's like all eyes on Disney always.
Hmm.
There's a lot of detractors. There's a lot of people who like to talk
Yeah.
poorly about Disney. But as you said, David, the statistics. So
Yeah,
like, what do they always say that the monorail is? A 99 or 97 point something. Their operation rate. It's never
Hmm.
down. There's hardly
yeah,
accidents.
yep.
I'm sure that the Skyliner is in that realm. If you look at the statistics of
Probably.
how long it's but it's different obviously because these are little individuals, like little canisters that
Right.
it's compared to like the monorail, all lined up and they can buffer. But yeah, so it's interesting to think about that.
Definitely.
So when the Imagineering story came out on Disney Plus, it was all the rage. Everybody loved it. I loved it. I watched all 10 episodes. There was tears in my eyes on some of them because it's just such a beautiful story. And everybody wanted a second part. We want a part two of Imagineering stories. And it's like, I was wondering, where do you go with this? Because you just told the story of building the parks through Imagineering. Well, they have decided to go this way with it. It's called Behind the Attraction. And it's going to premiere on July 16th, narrated by Paget Brewster, a Hollywood actor. And they will basically be giving the backstories on a lot of attractions, Imagineering, some behind the scenes footage, some archival footage with Walt Disney. I am so super excited about this.
I'm pumped
I am
about
just
this
so excited about this.
Yeah.
Now, I know that when Disney premiered, they basically dropped all the Imagineering story episodes like once when Disney Plus premiered. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't
No, I
remember
feel
waiting
like
for
that's
those
what it's been so
because
long.
we
I
knocked
feel like
them
they
out
were all up.
in a few days. And I
Yeah.
don't know with this system if they're going to do it like one per week now that Disney Plus has been around for a few years, or
Yeah.
if they will just drop them all at once. I am super excited about
I
this
am too.
because just
It's
to
gonna be
see
great.
how some of this is made is really cool because I love hearing about this and I love hearing these stories of the attractions and things and and I'm assuming that Aaron will be taking notes for his next book.
It's
Which
interesting. This is like almost Disney finally going into this realm
Mhm.
as of late. It's like almost if we go on YouTube, and I guess I'm also could be lumped in there with my books. It's like there's already a cottage industry of all of these things. Obviously it's not endorsed by Disney, but some of the work that people put out on
Yeah.
YouTube, doing the backgrounds and doing the
Mhm.
history. I mean, it's remarkable.
Well, there's
Yeah.
a series. I didn't even cut you off. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No. Go ahead.
There's a series on YouTube called Defunct Land.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it is
yeah.
a fascinating series. They talk about more than just Disney. They address the King Kong ride at Universal and the Jaws ride. They've talked about one of my favorite episode, and the first one I watched and still my favorite is the Action Park episode about the theme park in New Jersey. The insanity that happened with that theme park.
Yep.
Aaron, you
Oh,
should also
yeah.
wait a book about that because that is also a fascinating story.
Yeah.
About how insane that park actually was, with a loop-de-loop water slide, which in its
Yeah.
essence
That's
is just
dope.
insane. But I love that series, and you're right. There are a bunch of series online that are like the true backstory behind blah blah blah. But like, there's one that I watched. I've probably seen it 10 times. The how does Tower of Terror work? And it's basically this guy talking about a diagram of Tower of Terror for 12 minutes on
Yep.
the lift system, and they put this pulley in place. There's a diagram of like little elevators going up and down. I'm like, this is so awesome. This is fascinating.
There's somebody. There's his name. It's Martin's Vids.
I've heard that name.
His series, they're remarkable. They're awesome. I mean, he really does Spaceship Earth, Ellen's Energy Adventure, and he goes back and he'll do the different versions. And his episodes are like an hour and a half long. I mean, they're awesome.
They're like movies.
Wow.
I mean, they are really like full documentaries. And I'm sure they have advertising on YouTube and stuff, but really a lot of this is just labor of love because there are very few people that get rich off YouTube advertising. Mostly because whenever I see skip ad, I hit skip ad as soon as I can.
Yep.
And my goal is to make it skipping the ad without even knowing what the product is.
Yeah.
I'm probably 99% effective on that. So just because I'm a jerk.
I do the same thing.
Same.
Final little bit of news here, and this is kind of the negative part, but we're not Disney's podcast. We're a Disney podcast, but we got to talk about this because it's going to be real. The Boo Bash. Now we are raving about the Boo Bash and its potential because it's expensive. It's an after-hours party, themed after hours, not themed after a Not So Scary Mickey's Not So Scary party. It's a 3-hour event. Tickets are anywhere from $129 to $200 depending on when you go. Halloween's $199 per. There are select dates in August, September and October. So the Disney systems have failed because it's phone in only. You cannot call. They've kind of set it up to where
you cannot.
If you're a resort guest, you have to do it online. If you're a resort guest, you can't do it online. Yes. If you're a resort guest, you have to call in and get it done there. Okay, you can't do it online. General public tickets open up on June 15th. It has been a complete disaster. And people are wondering why you can't do it online. And my first thought, and this is to where Disney Tech is in my mind, my first thought is, well, if they did it online as well, that would be 2 fronts that would have crashed, and we would have had twice as many reasons to be angry. It has been a complete disaster. So let me rant for just a second and say this about Disney Tech. Disney, you have got to... any of that. Jen, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like a lot of us are in that boat.
Yeah. Bottom line is they've got to get their stuff together. It's a $265 billion company, and there's no reason to not have it. Maybe it's a staffing issue, but hire some temp workers for a day, for 2 days, for 5 days, and teach them only to do tickets. That's all you do is just these tickets. That's all you have to learn to teach. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Aaron, have you tried to get Boo Bash tickets? Have you your thoughts on that?
I haven't tried. And this is, maybe it's jaded. Nothing surprises me anymore with them, sort of. I mean, we're all conditioned. We all drank the Kool-Aid. We're all going to keep going. We're going to keep spending our money.
That's correct.
And they'll monetize things and they'll merchandise things, and we're going to be all over it. Tens of millions of us.
Yep.
And it's like it's not necessarily about like park occupants. They don't care about how many people come to the park. They would actually, it's the number. It's the monetary number at the end of the quarter that means something, or at the end of the year. So I mean, if they can get, like a third less people in there, but still spend the same amount of money, that's even better.
Yep. Exactly. And I know it sounds like I make this a travel agent infomercial, and it's not, but even if I wasn't an agent myself, I would get a travel agent, because
100%.
Stories I heard from yesterday were guests that were saying, my agent got me my Boo Bash tickets. I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. The story I heard online from agents, including our own, on hold for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, getting disconnected after 4 hours, having to call back. They closed the queue at 9 o'clock last night. They stopped selling tickets at 9. So people who were on hold for 4 or 5 hours got in after 9 o'clock. They had no tickets to be sold. They had to call back in this morning. Phone lines crashed about 3 or 4 minutes after opening. It was just a disaster. And it's just, I would be happy for my travel agent to pay my travel agent to get this for us. And thankfully we do as part of our service. And I actually did one this morning. I connected with another agent, and she helped me out getting these tickets, actually, Kristen and Lindsay. So props to both of you if you're listening, for helping me with those tickets. And I can call a client and be like, guess what? I got you Boo Bash tickets. You didn't have to do a thing. Yeah. We did the whole 6 or 7 hour thing. But so that's the Boo Bash.
I agree. I mean, I have no dog in the race here, and look, as somebody who is like an outsider and looking in here with the travel agent thing, if I was I'm not saying I'm anybody, but if I wasn't who I am, like knowing Disney and knowing these things, I would totally use a travel agent. Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's annoying. It's a pain in the ass, quite frankly. Yep. To go make reservations, to go make park reservations, to get food. I mean, if you can get somebody one-stop shop and let them do it, oh my God, it's so much easier. Like, I feel like a lot of folks figure, okay, I can go online and do this myself. Yeah, you can go get your hotel room, but like, if you're not like well versed and you don't go often, then you're going to miss out. You're going to get down there, you're going to be annoyed, like, oh, well, I didn't know this. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, totally.
It's a lot of research.
It's something that and I've said this before, like one of the things that I knew that being a travel agent was important was we were at the parks one day and I literally saw a family with a husband holding the map, looking at it, very confused. The wife was aggravated. The kids were running around. They were standing in the middle of the park, not knowing what to do and where to go. And later on that same day, we were talking, my wife and I were in Jungle Cruise and we were talking about getting fast passes. We got a fast pass for this. We just used it. Let's go ahead and look online real quick and get a fast pass for blah, blah, blah. And people behind us were like, what's a fast pass? What? I mean, this is in the middle of Fast Pass Mania, like 2015 or something. This isn't like, they just happened. And so there's so many things out there that people don't know that we do. And if we don't know, the wonderful thing is, like I have a honeymooner couple that's going down in October and they're going to the Caribbean. And there's some places I know about, some places I don't. We have this incredible team around us that if I don't know the answer, I immediately reach out to you, Jenn, or to Kyla, or to other people on our team and be like, okay, I need some recommendations for this. Here are the details. Here's a few important details that differentiates them from other couples. What do you think? Oh, well, this is great. Well, I would tell you this, but because of that little thing, don't do this. Do this instead. Love that. And that's what you need. And whether it's us or any travel agency company, make sure you have somebody who can say, I don't know the answer, but I will find out for you like today.
Absolutely.
So that's our spiel. That's our travel agent spiel. Let's go now to another spiel about some books because Erin, you are a prolific author and somewhat a Disney historian at this point, which I love Disney history. I'm an amateur Disney historian myself. I can probably talk for a couple of hours about Disney history. I feel like that you could probably talk for a couple of days about Disney history. So, I am trembling in the shadow of your awesome Disney historyness. But we've got, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong here. We got The Wonders of Disney World, The Disney Story, Disney Declassified, and the two latest, Meet the Disney Brothers and Buy Disney's World. Those are the five.
Yes, sir.
Others? Okay, and they're all available on Prime, and I know several of them are available on Audible.
Are all of them on Audible?
All of them are on Audible.
Okay, good deal, because I have four of them. There's which one? I don't think I have the Disney Story. That's the one that I haven't read, and so I don't have them on. I don't have that one. I'm a big audiophile. I've got like over 500 audiobooks in my collection over the last 10 years.
Wow.
And you are four of them. So,
there we go. Thank you very much for the support.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I love reading because the stories themselves are fantastic. And, and we'll get to your nuance in just a second, but, like Disney Classified is just simple tales of just, the tagline is real life tales of Disney scandals, sex, accidents, and death. And it is really just this random book of just different stories from Disney that people may not know, which is fantastic.
I love
and
that
so how do you come? I mean, one of the chapters is called Disney's Debauchery. How can you not read about that?
Right.
What is Disney's Debauchery? So how do you come about these stories? Where do you find these stories? Do you just go on Google and say, did Walt Disney ever ... Oh, he did. Let me find out about it. I mean, how does that even work?
For Disney Declassified, I did a lot of old newspaper archives. And then I did a lot of legal not legal journals, like where I'm totally drawing a blank on what it's actually called.
Documents,
like legal docs, like so lawsuits, things that were filed, accident reports, reports from the state of Florida, and a lot of litigation. A lot of it came from I think it's Law 360. There's legal databases that you could search and find. I basically would just put in Walt Disney World or Disney and see what would come up, and sort of try and piece put the pieces together.
Yeah.
It's sort of I always say the book's sort of like if you go to a Disney park to try and escape reality, these are the stories of reality seeping into the park. I mean, it's just kind of the unfortunate things that happen from time to time, but again, it's one of those things that it's like for the billions of times that Space Mountain goes round and round over for all these decades, there's a very small percentage of accidents and things that happen. So it's like at some point I'd say the statistics are it'll be easier for you to get hit by lightning than actually to really have a catastrophic injury at Disney. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's again, the stories are fascinating, and they're all quick stories. There's nothing like you don't have a 34-page novella about something. It's always a page or two about this, 3 pages about that. So they're all quick hits. And there are actually to tease the audience for Disney Declassified. On the back of the book, it tells you can read about the shocking time a baby was born and abandoned in a Magic Kingdom toilet, or that time an 8-year-old girl was randomly shot in the back at the Disneyland Railroad, or the role a former Nazi SS member played in the construction of Walt Disney World. I mean, the stories are just over the top, and it's like
crazy.
And by the way, whoever wrote that on the back of the book is a great tease.
That's me. That was
Did
me.
you write your own?
really.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, of course. I write, I publish, I write, I do everything. That was all me. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Well, and I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Are there, again, speaking about Disney Declassified before we get to the next one, is there a story out there that kind of sticks out to you that you would love to tell? Just like, hey, this time in the book, you're going to read about, here's the story of blah, 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 knowing there are like 75 other stories to read about too. I mean, can you give us a little insight on something from there?
I think in a lot of ways, they're all sad. The one that really sticks out in my head is, I often say, like, after you read the book and you go to Walt Disney World or even Disneyland, I always say it's like, you've now, like, if the book resonates in your head, it's like the Disney death tour. Because there was a suicide like at the Imagination Pavilion. The guy pulled out a shotgun and took somebody hostage. It was a domestic dispute. Started as a domestic dispute. He wanted to see his ex-girlfriend. He went in the park, and so you're talking about somebody who brings a sawed-off shotgun into the theme park in a bag. So clearly, it's not any time that recently. We're talking about I think late '80s, early '90s, and he took a hostage, and the SWAT team was there, and he basically killed himself in front of the Imagination bathroom. And that's just like, I go to that bathroom. I mean, I always.
That's one of the quietest bathrooms in the park.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's a story that sticks out in my head.
Well, after you read that book, you should hop over to The Wonders of Walt Disney World, which is a much happier tale.
It's cleaner. It cleanses your brain.
Yeah, and like Disney Declassified isn't necessarily for don't give it to your 8-year-old going, hey, here's the history of Disney. Don't do that.
I think most people hate that book, to be honest, the Disney Declassified, but
it's just
I think
fascinating,
if you're not a Disney
though.
person, yeah,
it is fascinating because we think of this. Disney is truly, Walt Disney World is the most magical place on earth. It really is. But like every single company, no matter where you go, it's going to have a few tales behind the scenes that are like, ooh, boy. Jim Corcus does a great job of telling that too. And actually, I think looking at my Disney bookshelf, I think he's the only author that I have more books of than you. I've got all of his wall to wall. I've got like 12.
You're doing pretty good there, Aaron.
So yeah, you're doing good. I have like 4 of yours, and so congratulations for whatever that's worth. But the Wonders of Walt Disney also does a kind of the same thing. A lot of park to park and attraction to attraction on Disney property kind of thing. And I don't know if you remember the story, and I will edit this part out too. So if I give you a topic that you're like, I don't remember that story completely because there's 1,000 stories and I don't expect you to remember one.
Sure.
But one that stuck out to me that I would love to hear about is, what does the actor Tom Selleck have to do with Epcot's lovable Figment character?
Oh, that was Tony Baxter watching Magnum PI.
Yes.
And that's where Figment came from. Like I can't remember this is terrible. You might want to edit this one out, but like, this is the guy who almost sort of looks like Hitler. Like his
is it Higgins?
Higgins. Yeah. I look
Higgins.
at Higgins and I always, for some reason, saw Adolf Hitler. Maybe that's the Jewish in me.
You're talking about Higgins.
Higgins. Yeah. But yeah, that's where the Figment pops. That's basically where's the catalyst for the name Figment for the attraction.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That is awesome. Of course, in the book you read about Justin Timberlake and NSync, which although a lot of people that are like, they've chosen sides in the NSync BSB war and they picked NSync, so I get that. I have a Justin Timberlake shirt myself. So with this
why does it have to be a war?
NSYNC, whatever.
Why do we have to battle?
You know what? It's like Disney Universal. People should understand you can love both NSYNC and BSB. You don't have to pick one. It's okay. Mm-mm. So great book there as well. But I do want to talk real quick about the recent books you came out with, and you had Meet the Disney Brothers, which I mentioned at the top of the show, which I love. I love the story of Roy and Walt, because Roy is the pragmatist. He's the one that's like, he's looking at the budget. He's the one that's keeps you in line. While Disney's like, I don't care what it is. Who cares how we pay for it? Let's just do it. And Roy's like, I care how we pay for it. We can't do it because we don't have any money, leading to, of course, the screaming fights behind the scenes and the infamous, yelling and screaming matches, whatever, to make what we have today. So the story of Walt and Roy for you, Aaron, what really entices you for that story? What really stands out for you?
That book came from, I always think Roy is, and it's sort of how he wanted things. He sort of doesn't get a lot of credit, or he's sort of not in the spotlight, which is what he wanted. But he played a huge role in the whole story of of everything. Without Roy, finding money, there is none of these things really happen.
Right.
Where they happen on such a smaller scale. So I sort of wanted to do a children's book, or I guess they call it a middle grade reader book, which is what the Meet the Disney Brothers is for. And I just sort of wanted to show that family is important along the way. You need your family. And it was just, to me, it's a really great story of a family business of two brothers working together, despite the fact that there's, a sizable age difference between them. And their view on the world is 180 degrees from one another. And how they, work together, put past differences and conquered the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And again, the book's on Audible. It's only an hour and 45 minutes. So
it's a quick read.
And I do 1.5 speed anyway. So I really knocked it out like an hour. And it was great. I think I knocked it out literally at the time my kid was playing in a trampoline park. I went through the book. And so it was one complete listen, which is kind of top to bottom, front to back, which was great. And of course that leads us to the one, the most recent book here is Buying Disney's World, which again, as soon as I saw the title and I knew it was coming out, I pre-ordered it. I was ready because I love the story of how Walt Disney World came to be. Just the opening and flying over and picking at the orange groves, because people just, especially the farther away we get from it, I don't think people understand there was a swamp there. There was nothing there. And that's why they were buying land so freaking cheap, keeping it all a secret. And of course, you got the legendary tale of the reporter from the Sentinel that found out, declared, or Disney is the secret buyer or whatever it is. You did a ton of work on that too. You had to have done a ton of
newspaper
work.
archive did you have to go into for that one?
Yeah. How did you even do all that?
I actually, the newspaper archive on this one was kind of tertiary or secondary.
Okay.
The main source of this story came from attorney Robert Foster, who was the attorney who bought all the land for Walt. And he was legal counsel for Disneyland prior to tackling the Florida project. So I was able to go through his actual notes and a rough copy of what he was writing. He was attempting to write a book about it, and I went through his notes, his rough drafts, and then a few other Disney folks had left archival notes that I went through and sort of pieced all these stories together to sort of make one cohesive. I mean, I know a lot of people know the gist of the story. Yeah, he bought land, he bought it under fictitious names, so nobody would know it's him. But there was a lot more to the story, and I was trying to close the gaps in, sort of tell the complete story from Disneyland and Walt's disappointment there to I end the book basically when Roy dies a few months after opening day.
Yeah.
I went on a Keys to the Kingdom tour. My wife and I've been on two of them, and the first one, we had a little short lady named Claire. This is like 2008, 2009, and she's short, probably in her 60s, dark brown hair, and she kind of talked like this. She enunciated very well, but she was very outspoken and very loud. And this is what we're talking about. And I am into Disney history, and she pointed out everything. And we were in the Utilidors, the Disney Underground, and I don't know if it's still there, but there was this wall with this line of old vintage photos from the opening from construction of Disney. And I remember her distinctly standing there pointing to a picture that there's a famous picture of Walt Disney and I believe Card Walker, Joe Fowler, and Roy Disney. They're all in there. And she was very adamant. If just one of these people were not here, we would not be standing here today. Everyone loves Walt Disney. But the fact is, Joe Fowler, Card, and Roy played an integral part of this story. It was great. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Without a doubt.
Oh, it's true though. I mean, it's amazing.
Or if one of those men lived about another 5 years, we would probably have seen Epcot and what he really wanted it to be.
Yes.
Yeah. I think if he was here, if Walt made it just a handful of years, that he would have put enough down on paper that it would have probably come to fruition.
Yeah, I agree. And that's my favorite park, so I love Epcot.
Jen loves her some Epcot. My favorite Disney biography is actually the one with Neil Gobler, Walt Disney and the Triumph of American Spirit. And it's like 38 hours on Audible. With the first Audible purchase I ever made. I actually got that as my free trial in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And I need to go back through it because it's been 10 years since I've done it. But I remember, the fascinating part to me was the Walt Disney World part. Disneyland was great, but it followed him. Like once he went to Walt Disney World stuff, it kind of stopped talking about Disneyland because it was his story.
Yeah.
Are there biographies of Walt Disney you have read, or are there any particular favorites or any Disney books that stuck out to you that you really just enjoy? Besides your own, of course.
I mean, I like the Gabler book. It's so dense.
It is very dense.
And I do think it's a little biased. I do, it's hard to find because you can also then say that the Disney authorized biographies are biased towards,
right.
Walt. So, I try and play both sides. In the Disney story, I chronicle from Mickey Mouse's inception to Shanghai Disneyland, and along the way, the bumps and bruises and bad things that go on. Clearly, I'm not afraid to go down that road. I mean, I wrote Disney Declassified, so I'm not like a Disney apologist or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because I feel like there's an agenda with Walt. When you read the biographies, there's a couple others out there that come to mind that they're just kind of and that's sort of the reason why I went down the road I went down, because I read what was out there and I kind of wanted more, and I didn't love what I read, so I figured let me take a shot at it.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write Buying Disney's World? I know the research part of it had to be considerable.
Buying Disney's World, I wanted to write since 2017.
Oh wow.
And I had 900 pages. I had 900 photos because I basically was in the, exposed to all the Robert Foster notes with an iPad, and I took a picture of every single document, whether I needed it or not. And I just wanted to write the book for the longest time, couldn't bring myself to do it. And I ended up writing, Meet the Disney Brothers, and then COVID hit. And I was finally like, you know what? I'm like stuck in the house here.
Like, what else are you gonna do?
Like, I'm actually gonna see if I can get Buying Disney's World done. At that time, I didn't know what it was gonna call. Actually, you know what? That book was originally going to be called Roy Disney's World, because it was so much of Roy.
Interesting. I like that.
Okay.
But then I went back to, because it was so heavy, and the book is so heavy in the transactional part of how he got all the land and who the team he assembled. I figured it's not really Roy, because there's so many other people that were a part of this story, like David said. But I think it was 6 or 8 months to actually write it, and there was countless months sifting through the materials to try and make a cohesive story from Foster's notes. That Foster's notes and his stuff are basically from like 63 to 63 to like almost to like when Walt died. That was sort of like those notes, and then so I had to put the pieces together from before and then after, and sort of make some semblance of a story here, which was kind of difficult.
Anything that surprised you in your research, like maybe maybe a myth that everybody thinks is true but actually isn't? You discovered, oh, that actually didn't happen this way. It happened this way. I mean, is there anything kind of revelatory to you?
That's a great question. Yeah, because people often, I even just see in random generalized media when they talk about how Walt Disney World was conceived, they would say, oh, it was put together by a CIA agent, and they gave the name by the founder of the CIA. But that's not the case. He was already, and his name escapes me at the moment. I could Google and get it in a second. But so his name is always the one that says, oh, Walt went after, used the head of the CIA to buy the land. And the fact of the matter was, Paul Hellawell was the man who basically helped obtain all the land. He was in the CIA. He was very high up in the CIA, and he actually, around the time, a little bit before he starts helping Walt buy the land, he actually tried to topple several regimes in South America, and was the rumored paymaster for the Bay of Pigs. So the rumor is that he funded the Bay of Pigs. And I just think that's crazy. Insane. That like by day, let's buy land for a theme park, and by night, let's try and, kill off a world leader.
It's just mind blowing, really.
Yeah. So that's a huge thing that really was not out in. That's like kind of a discovery that I made, and I actually went into the CIA and did some FOIA things, Freedom of Information Acts, and got some documents about Paul Hellawell, included them in the book. And it's kind of insane if you think about that.
I think one of my new life goals is to do something important enough that requires me to utilize the Freedom of Information Act somewhere. Yeah, utilize, like, it's one of those movie things that, I want to jump off of a pirate ship with a knife in my mouth, and I want somebody to come on stage and throw a cape around me and escort me off stage after performing. I also want to walk in somewhere and say, I need this documentation. You can't have it. Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's an important thing.
You have some weird goals, man.
Well, I feel like they're all attainable. A couple more quick questions, because again, I'm fascinated by this. What was the piece of information or research or whatever that you discovered, you came upon, paperwork or idea or something that you could not believe you got a hold of? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm holding this or looking at this or seeing this. Is there anything that just blew your mind that wow, I've got this in front of me here. This is incredible.
Yeah. So the picture itself that we see with Walt in this, when he's doing the Epcot movie, when he's announcing what Epcot is, and you see him in the studio against a wall with a map of, and he says, right now, where we go from Osceola to Orange, and and he says that the diameters of the land.
Right.
So there was a similar thing in their boardroom. It was a top secret boardroom, a similar map that Robert Foster put together, and it had plots of land. Everything was plotted, and what they wanted to buy, what they wanted to go after, what they couldn't get. And I had one of those sections. There were a handful of sections in papers that I was looking at that were up on the wall in that boardroom that they all saw and looked at for hours, over time to try and decide where to go. And I was like, wow, I actually have this, so this is something Walt could have had or looked at, or it's kind of crazy.
That's cool.
The beginnings of Walt Disney World.
Wow.
Now, is there any same thing, along the same lines, any kind of white whale for you that you wish you could have gotten a hold of? Maybe it was destroyed, doesn't exist, or you were just told, no, we can't let you have that. Is there any piece that you really wanted? I don't think it would have affected your story much because it's a great book, so you really didn't need to add much more to it. But was there something you just really wish you could have seen or gotten a hold of during your research?
I would have liked to have talked to some people. I mean, I reached out to a bunch of folks, and I was unsuccessful in. I wanted to speak with Dick Nunes, and I was not able to connect there. The Demtree family, who owned that major parcel, which is, the Magic Kingdom and things like that, they're still in, there are still land developers, there's still real estate owners in Orlando and very successful. I reached out to them a few times to try and see if I could get some information from them. But I mean, it would have just been, it would have been like icing on the cake. I already had I had what I needed, but it would have been kind of cool, maybe a tidbit here or there to throw in.
Right. So what's next? I guess now is the next question is, I know that you're taking a road trip. I heard that on Divas, on Jenn's other podcast, even though she won't mention our podcast and hers, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh, I've mentioned yours plenty of times.
You mean our podcast? Anyway, and so no, what's next? And what's are you having the book project in the works? Are you just taking some time? You going on vacation? Do you need a travel agent? Because we know some.
I don't have anything. I'm kind of on hiatus mentally. I'm going to go out to Marceline in July.
Christine told me that. I'm so excited.
Yes.
It's so awesome.
I'm going to see maybe if something sparks. Yeah, until I find something exciting, I feel like I don't have anything to.
Right,
Aaron, you are gonna love Marceline. We did it a couple years ago, just because we were in Missouri anyway, and we're like, okay, so we're not gonna be in Missouri and not go to Marceline.
Yeah, totally.
So we did the drive in Main Street. It was incredible, and we hit it at the right time because it was a Sunday afternoon, and apparently the Cub Scouts were building something in the school gym.
Wow.
The gym, which is it's Walt Disney Elementary.
Sure.
And his animators did the paintings in the gym and, a lot of it. And we were just thinking, well, we're just going to peek through the windows. I mean, obviously the school's closed. We can't get in there, but it's a Sunday. There's no kids around, so we'll be fine. We pulled in the back and, just to kind of see and peek in the windows, and we see that the door's propped open. And the one person was walking out like, oh, sorry. Yeah. We're, the kids are in here doing stuff. We're like, oh no, we just didn't know anyone was here. We were just going to peek in the windows because we're big Disney fans. And they're like, hang on. And they totally escorted us around and showed us the inside. They stayed with us just to make sure, but it was the coolest
thing. That's awesome.
So and then the museum there was really, really neat as well. So you're gonna enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you'll probably. I bet you get something sparked. I mean, the artifacts that they have in there with Lillian's handwriting and with even Walt's parents' handwriting and the correspondence and a lot of the history. They even have a gramophone record, or maybe it's a regular record. I don't know, but playing on a loop that's their family. It was
talking.
It was Christmas maybe. I can't remember exactly, but it was cool.
It's so cool.
It was very, very
It's like the pilgrimage. We're going back to the where it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So
that's really cool. Okay, so book idea for you. And when you take this book and run with it, which it's a fantastic idea, so you can put my name at the very beginning. Thanks to David Dollar, host of the Main Street Electrical Podcast. I know I've seen bits and pieces, chapters here and there on certain sections of certain books about these things. but I love reading about the Disney that wasn't, the Disney that was but now isn't, like the former attractions, everything from Food Rocks to the bra shop on Main Street in Disneyland. Why? What happened? Where'd it go? Why was it taken down? And I'm sure some of these are just, they run their course and now they're done, but I'm sure others have amazing stories behind them. Alien Encounter is a great example of that. I mean, there are videos and stuff talking about Alien Encounter, about why that's no longer there. But I would love to hear something like your perspective and your writing style of Alien Encounter. Here's the story. And, you could do a good 10, 15 different stories on that. And there's your book right there. And I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Check out the Disney story, because I have a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, you do.
In the Disney story.
Okay.
Because there is, like, obviously Mickey's Kitchen. That was one that was like, really healthy fast food. That was way before its time. It would probably do well now.
Right.
Probably would.
But there was also, they want to do Disney was going to do a Powerball lottery, just like the Powerball, like a nationwide lottery for like hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was going to be a Disney, and it was announced, and like they went into somewhat of detail about it, and then, abruptly it was gone because Mickey Mouse doesn't gamble. But yeah, I have some very random things that are in the Disney story that are kind of in that realm, and obviously Disney's America and Virginia.
Yeah. That's a huge disaster.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I have little weird tidbits of, I think in 39 or 40 with Snow White, Walt put the book out. He basically put out an audio book and a book in Braille for folks who were, visually and hearing impaired, so that they could enjoy Snow White. It's just kind of cool.
There are a lot of Disney stories out there, a lot of things that never came to be. For obviously, we look back now and go, yeah, now I see that. Well, like in the book Disney War, and I've spoken about that on the podcast. It's one of my favorite Disney books. I love. It's really Eisner's story. It's not just Disney; it's Eisner himself. But they talk about how, at the very beginning of his tenure, he had the idea of, let's have Mickey and Minnie get married. They'll shop at Tiffany's. We'll have a wedding at Magic Kingdom. They'll go to Paris for their honeymoon. And that was nixed because then it was like, yeah, but if they get married, that means they consummate their marriage. And then we begin to visualize, no, let's just, so they nixed that real quick. And so there are a lot of things out there that are like, look back now, it's like, yeah, that's an insane idea. Why were you even thinking that?
I did an interview for a magazine. It was all about Mickey's birthday, and I talked about Minnie Mouse, and I pulled out a quote, and I'm pretty sure that Walt in the 30s said that they were married already.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I think it was very early 30s. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure.
We never hear their relationship referred to as anything specific. Like, we know that Minnie is Mickey's girl, but it's never his girlfriend, his fiance, his wife, or anything like that. It's always, Minnie, Mickey's beloved Minnie, or, Mickey's girl, Minnie, or Minnie's boy, whatever. I mean, it's always something like that. It's never a specific relationship title, which is probably good because, it kind of keeps that, it keeps you from having to wonder about, oh, well, if they're fiancés, that means they're going to get married, and so let's not even think about that at all.
Yeah, go down a road that there was in the 70s, somebody made like a Disneyland like perverted poster. He recently passed away. His name escapes me. My mind is like mush lately because of, I feel like.
Well, we probably don't want people looking that poster up anyway, so that's
no, but they basically he basically has. And it was a huge issue for Disney because he basically has all the Disney characters having sex, and it's graphic and it's cartoon, and they sued him. And they sued him and sued him and sued him, and then nothing really ever happened to it, and they let it go because they found out it was getting more publicity than it was worth.
Because of that, right?
To ignore it because he was selling so many copies of it. And he recently passed away in the past year or two, and I tweeted it out, and someone DM'd me, and they're like, oh my God, you have to delete this. You can't keep this in here. It's like, it's Snow White's like doing things she shouldn't be doing in front of people. I'm like, yeah. In 1930, an issue of Film Pictorial magazine, quoting Walt, "In private life, Mickey is married to Minnie." He said at the time, "A lot of the people ask this question because sometimes he appears to be married to in his films, and at other times still courting her. What it really amounts to is that Minnie is, for screen purposes, his leading lady. If the story calls for a romantic courtship, then Minnie is the girl. But when the story requires a married couple, then they appear as man and wife. In the studio, we have decided to say that they are married already." So that was 1930.
Wow, they've been married a long time.
Yep.
That's awesome.
They look great for their age too. I mean, I have to say
they really do
really well. So
they really do. Final questions I have, and Jen can jump in here because she's talked to you several times, so she probably knows everything. But theme parks, what's your favorite theme park? What attraction do you love to go to and love to ride as many times as you can when you're there?
Not a fan favorite probably at the moment, but I love Epcot. I mean, I love Spaceship Earth. I love Epcot. I know it's like in hard times, but to be honest with you, I could just sit and listen to the background music and not really do anything else.
Yep.
Agreed.
We did some episodes, many episodes ago, our favorite theme park music. We did like a top 25 with another couple of people. It was a 2-part show because it was so long. But Jen and I both had the Epcot legacy music or the theme music, like in our top 3. Because it's just, and actually I use it now, copywriters, please don't come after me. Marcy, protect me. I use it now as our ending music because it's just such cool music.
It's such cool music. And then when they changed the loop though, I was like, well, shoot.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, and the one, so on YouTube, I don't know, somebody has it up and they have the full loop and then they have like the titles, and some of the titles I'm like, oh, okay. That's not what I expected, but okay.
All right. Well, so Aaron, where can we find you? Where can people go to get your books? I know Audible and Amazon, and I will tell you to be careful if you can't find all of them on Aaron H. Goldberg. Look for Aaron Goldberg or type in the title of the book, because I had to kind of do a few loop arounds on Amazon, because I think in Audible it has Buying Disney's World as Aaron Goldberg, and the rest of your books are Aaron H. Goldberg. So you kind of have to loop around it. Yeah. But if you go to themscpodcast.com, you'll see his little face on the sidebar there where our guests are. Put the cursor right between his eyes, double click, and it'll take you to his website, and you can go from there. So,
yeah, AaronHGoldberg.com, on Twitter and Instagram at Aaron H. Goldberg. Some of my books are available. Actually, The Wonders of Walt Disney World is available in store nationwide at Barnes and Noble, and Target, Walmart. Not in store, but online. You can basically get all my books at Target, Walmart. You know, if they're selling books, they'll have my books. Chances are.
Awesome.
These are good books too. I mean, really, folks, if you're out there, if you're looking for Disney stuff that's besides just princessy stuff or whatever, and you want some Disney history, some Disney behind the scenes or whatever, Aaron's got some great books out there. And pick one of them up. You know, if you like the writing style, great. If not, whatever. But the books are really informative. They're very well researched, very well written.
Yeah.
And the Disney Declassified, it's for the older set, but it is just hilarious and fascinating and sad and just like, wow. And then followed up with The Wonders of Walt Disney World because you want to be happy again. So, Jen, where can we find you on the great, vast, wide interwebs?
You can find me at Upon a Star Jen, and also at Jen_Novotny on Instagram.
And of course, you do have another podcast called Divas Dish Diz, the original Diz Dishers. Released an episode yesterday. It's you and Christine, former and future guest of the show, Christine Fox, and who is just talking about Disney stuff. It's kind of fun.
Our new episode's coming up too, and we just talk. We talk about a lot of things.
Yeah. Like it's one of those that whenever it pops down, I tune in pretty much as soon as I see it pop on my feed, just because I want to hear what you guys are talking about, and you giggle and laugh, and it's a good time all the way through it. So it's fun. Find me online at the Magic on $1 on Instagram. Find me Magic on $1 and Disney on $1 on Facebook. And I know that we have talked a little bit about travel agency stuff. And so somebody is listening to our podcast and it's like, you know what? I've now purchased all of Aaron Goldberg's books. I am ready to go to Disney World, followed by a Caribbean vacation, and then a trip to Disneyland. Jen, where would you tell them to go?
Well, I would tell them to visit uponastartravel.com.
Nice.
Good answer.
Go there, and you know what? You can find all those destinations, all places,
of the destinations,
including we can send you to Antarctica. We can literally send you to Antarctica. I mean, you have to have the money to pay for it. It's a little pricey, but we can send you to Antarctica.
We can send you there.
And I expect a family selfie to send back to me so I can post. I'm going to demand that.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Find us, of course, at the MSC Podcast all over. We're that on Twitter, we're that on Instagram, and we're that on Facebook as well. Email us at the show, the mscpodcast@gmail.com. You can email us, let us know what's going on. And finally, we haven't really mentioned this much online, but we're going to start promoting it too. We have a contest going on because we need some iTunes and Apple Podcast reviews. Go online, review the show. 5 stars is the most magical of stars. So go online, review the show. Every review that we get in a couple of weeks and going on, I would say the next 2 weeks, if we get a minimum number, then we will basically do a drawing and we will send you either the streaming or the physical copy of the Cruella soundtrack. We will send the soundtrack to you, which has not even been released yet. The physical CD doesn't come out for like another week or so, and it's fabulous. And as you heard on the Divas show, and of course our show, I think last week, We loved Cruella. Aaron, have you seen Cruella?
I have not, and I don't think I will. It's not for me. I'm not a remake guy.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I don't even think it's a remake. It's a backstory of, and I'm not gonna try to sell you on it. Even I enjoyed it, and it wasn't like a rom-com. Oh, this is for little girl. I thought it was a great movie. It was really well done. I have my nitpicks. I have a movie podcast, like I mentioned. So there are some nitpicks to it that
Christine
I have.
And I didn't have any nitpicks.
No, I'm like, well, I don't know if I would have done this, and that's a really kind of a weird choice there that the director made, whatever. But overall, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, we loved it.
Y'all go check it out. And of course, Raya and the Last Dragon, also a Disney Plus right now for everybody. You can get it, whenever you want to see it. It's fantastic. So, Aaron, this has been awesome. I have loved meeting you here, and I've loved being able to talk to you. And we hope you come back to our show. Oh,
you're too kind. Thank you so much. I'd love to be on. You guys are great, and I had a great time chatting. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, thanks.
And as always, Jen, love doing a podcast with you. It's always fun to do podcasts and talk Disney stuff. And for the listeners out there, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you guys next week on the Main Street Electrical Podcast. Don't forget, hey, thank your Phoenicians and your cast members and travel agents for the Boo Bash tickets.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.